Hi everybody, it's Christina and Nicole here. We're your health and wellness practitioners in Scottsdale, Arizona. And today we're going to talk about the importance of doing a follow-up hair test. A lot of people think that it's when you do the hair test, you're just one and done. But we really want to talk to you about how the second test is actually the most important test.
Which is very fascinating because, you think that before we did this, you think that, we'll just go get our test, we'll find out, get our hair pulled, we'll find out what we have, and then we'll just work on it. Well, learning what we've learned and how the body changes and heals itself in so many different ways so fastly, so much more than we give our body credit for, is fascinating. And the second report really is super important because then it tells you what you've done better or what you've not. So basically, the first report is that's your goals, right? We're going to work on what it is that we find that we're, deficient in or whatever it is that we need. So say, a lot of times people, B9 will come up, which is folate. And a lot of times that is such a major part of people finding out how they're not actually processing their Bs because you need the folate to make them go together. Which is fascinating. So it's really super important. So then once you get that worked, then you can take, you take the test the 90 days and then you see how, well you've done or, what else you need to work on. It's like, peeling back the layers of an onion, as she always says.
Yeah, they like to use the onion metaphor just because it's like, on the onion in the first test, you're going to have that outer layer. And so usually what comes up on the first test are the more prominent issues in your body, the ones that need to be addressed right away, the bigger issues, if you will. And so once you have a handle on those, then you're going to start discovering going layer by layer, the underneath part that's going to really just support you and really optimizing your health and keeping you healthy throughout and promoting longevity. And so that's why the second test is important because not only will you start then digging deeper into the inner layers, with the second and third and fourth tests, however many tests you do, we can also start to see patterns. For instance, mold. Say you only do one test and mold shows up. It could have been that you were just exposed, maybe you were traveling or you were in a child's classroom or something and you just got exposed to mold and that affected you in that moment. We won't know if that's an actual lingering issue until the following tests. Within that, we can find those patterns, and patterns are really, really important so we know if there's an exposure that's causing lasting health effects.
That's a good point because the first test that I did of the second test, I had mold, but we'd been traveling a lot. And I remember I actually had told you, I'm like, I swear there's mold in this hotel.
Yeah.
And, I'm a lunatic about mold. I mean, we have air cleaners, whatever. And the second test, I didn't have it. So it was really good. It also, it helps you not freak out.
Yeah.
Because the mold can be a little bit more tricky because then you have to really kind of dig in your house.
Yeah.
You have to start digging other places. So I thought that was really, and that's a really great way to say that, that it may be that you're just exposed to it somewhere else. And so you don't have to freak out and go down this rabbit hole.
Yeah, because we don't want you to have to do drastic measures and like she said, dig up your house if you don't have to. It could have just been an exposure from somewhere that you're not around all the time. So that's really important to look at in the following test is finding patterns because then you could really then figure out, okay, well, this is a pattern. Where am I being exposed to that? And that could be anything. That could be with parasites. That could be with viruses. What are these patterns, and let's get to the root cause of what's causing these patterns so we can really nip those in the bud. So that is a really helpful tool.
Yeah, and on my test too, protein synthesis came up twice. And so as we age, it's even more important because we start losing amino acids that we need, and especially because we live in Arizona, we're moving, we're sweating, everything's just kind of getting depleted daily. And you don't even have to work out, and that happens because we live in such a hot, it was probably, 150 today. I'm just kidding. It's probably 112. But you're constantly, so I really tried to work on the protein synthesis. But what I learned was that I was deficient in B12. Well, B12 is what helps promote protein synthesis, which is what I'm saying. Protein synthesis, I think we've talked about it before, but it's you using your protein for energy. So you can eat, meats and stuff, but you need to really keep a variety. You also need the supporters, which was B12 that I found on the second test, which totally makes sense to me. And it kind of just put the puzzle together to where I was like, all right, we're just going to add the B12, and then we're going to, hopefully in 3 more months, I'll check it and it will be fine.
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating stuff. So that's also why when, like, in that initial test, we say it's a 90-day plan, because we do really encourage you to come back after 90 days and retest so we can compare the two, see what like changes that you did really worked and what things we need to add in. Also, it's 90 days because our body renews itself. Our cells overturn. After years, we have completely new organs, our cells and our gut and our skin, everything renews. And so it's that 80 to 90 day marker that our cells renew. And so that's why we want to take the information and the plan that we come up with and really give it that amount of time to see those differences, because change doesn't happen overnight. Illness doesn't happen overnight. And so it really does take that time to have your body detox, get all the old stuff out, and renew with the new plan and the new nutrients in. And so that's why we say 90 days. We had some really interesting facts too that we thought were just so amazing, and it just goes to show you how amazing our body is. And so tiny cells in our blood live only 120 days, and this was the really fascinating one. Cells in our gut lining only live 1 week. So
7 days. Sorry.
Just like with that information alone and knowing how the body renews, like it just gives you a sense of hope, because if you do start correcting these things, like you can see changes quickly, especially with gut stuff. And like I said, it's not going to happen overnight, but with dedication and the tools, like you can feel so much better, because our bodies were made to heal. We just have to give it the stuff it needs.
And have the chance to do that.
Yeah.
But I also wanted to go back to the test. So you compare, I had the 2 tests, and my test prior to this test came back pretty clean. I still had the protein synthesis and the sugar metabolism, but the second test, so I have changed my workout. So I'm doing this EMS, but I'm working, electric muscle stimulation. So what that does is it's really contracting my muscles. And so it's like I'm working out like 10 times harder than I would typically. And so it can be dehydrating. And so what came up for me, which is so awesome, because my body was starting to ache, and I didn't understand, because I would have never thought I would be deficient in magnesium, and I was. So magnesium and potassium came up, and sodium came up. So those are all the 3 electrolytes. So of course, obviously, I just upped it, but it was fascinating because I would have never, ever thought magnesium. And so that's the beauty of it, because instead of going down a hole of like, oh my gosh, I have these pains, my body's aching. Well, how about I just need magnesium? Because that's what it showed on my test.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It takes the guessing work out. And the thing is, like, I think sometimes people get a little competitive with their tests, like, oh, it's not only at this amount. A test will never be perfect. Our body is always going through something. It's always experiencing something. We're human beings living a life, and there's so many factors that impact us on the daily. And so there will never be a case where you figure out exactly what foods you need, exactly what nutrients are that you need, and you just do that for every day for the rest of your life and you're good. Like, we will always need something a little bit different. And so this test is so great because it kind of goes with your flow of life, and it will just kind of like be there to guide you and be like, this is what's going on, this is what you need now. And so it, like, you don't have to try things and then it doesn't work. Like, it lays it all out for you. And so that itself is so great and brings you just peace, because you're like, okay, that's what I'm going through. Okay, here's what I need. Okay, well, I'll do that now.
It's easy. It takes the guesswork out, which is nice, because you don't have to just go down a rabbit hole of trying to figure stuff out.
Yeah. And another thing with the patterns is, like, even with the systems, like she said, she had protein synthesis come up. You can look for patterns, like emotions is one that it reads if you're having too much stress on the body. If that's a pattern for you, then we're going to dig in deeper and figure out, okay, what's bringing you stress? Like, what things can we implement outside of nutrition that will help with stress management? Is it a job that maybe you need to look at, like switching up? It's just those things that really, like, it brings to light to help you in such a bigger way than just like what foods to eat. So it's pretty amazing.
Well, we don't I want to say to you, we don't expect you to live in a bubble, right? So stress is life, But what we do is we also won't look at you and go, you need to stop being stressed out, because that's just not life.
Yeah.
But what we do is we try to give you tools to help you to where you're not reactive. And so we give you tools that will help you walk alongside you, to where we're not gonna say just figure it out, don't be stressed, or change your job because it's stressful. We're not gonna do that. We're just gonna help you reduce the load so that it's not affecting you.
Yep. And so with that, we've come up with some packages too, because we just want to encourage you guys to really invest in your health. And so each hair test is $250. So we do have new packages available that we have on our website that you can buy, or in our office, where you can do a yearly package, and that's the Optimal Health package, where you buy 4 hair credits, and so you get $50 off each hair test for that. So it's $1,000 value, and you'd get that for $800. Or you could do a 2 hair package where you take 25 off, and that will be $450, and that would usually be $500.
Yeah.
So if you have any questions about that, please feel free to ask us, or anything about the test. We're always here to help you if you need anything.
Yeah, and we love that. We love learning. One last thing I'll say is so we've got people that struggle with lupus. We've got people that struggle with Hashimoto's. We've got people that struggle with gluten or with eczema. We just, and other different things that I've never heard of before. And we just dig in. So we send you a questionnaire prior, and then we dig in. Like, we do the research so that we can hit neuropathy. Neuropathy was an amazing, and I love learning about this stuff, but all the B vitamins, and if you have metals in you, that can really affect the neuropathy. But B vitamins are a major component for neuropathy. So we dig in, and we enjoy it, and we love it, and we're just here for you, and we're here to walk alongside you. And we look forward to seeing you.
Yep. We look forward to seeing you. Have a good day.
Have a good day.